feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Great to be back on this Friday afternoon, a very busy Friday afternoon. It's been a busy day here. We've been in the court this morning, back again, and bringing you some more, stuff from the Erin Patterson trial. More things, more stuff, more evidence for you guys to watch, including what you see on your screen right here, where we finally got it. This is Erin Patterson's record of interview, or what most people might call a police interview, or if some people might even call it an interrogation tape. I don't call it that. It's called a police interview to me, but the other name of it is a record of interview. So we got that today. It was a very early morning in the court this morning. We were there a lot earlier than the trial was. And yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about it yesterday, unfortunately. Wasn't allowed to. But that's why I told you guys, keep an eye on the live shows. Wasn't allowed to tell you where I was or what I was doing, but I was able to sort of tell you that keep an eye on tomorrow's afternoon show. And we got it. It's right here. I know everyone wants to see it. I've been getting messages for I posted a screenshot on Twitter and I got like 20 messages from people. Everyone's like, post it on Twitter, but hey, we're going to show it on the live show instead. Not just that, we're also now legally able to talk about Simon Patterson and his alleged poisonings and the circumstances surrounding it. So we're going to go into some of that tonight too. But it's good to see you all. Hey, Marjorie, Wendy R, Retired RN, Cheated No More is here. Danny is here. I'm sure more people will show up. Mimi is here. John is here. I know we went early a little bit. It's because it was a time issue, so I had to get this done now. So that's what this was. So we're gonna watch it. I hope people are tuning in. I hope people are having a look. So this is never seen outside of that courtroom before right now. Never seen before. If you didn't see it, you guys have heard about it. I've read you through this entire thing, but you guys have never seen it. One of the only bits of evidence that we have of Erin, besides the one we got on Monday, this is the other one. This is the big one. So this is Erin. So what is this? We showed you a video on Monday where Erin's phone was confiscated by police in that search warrant, right? This is after that. So this is at 4:46 p.m. on the 5th of August after that search warrant where her phone was taken. And who is here? I'm guessing it is a Mr. Eppingstall, and it will be Luke Farrell. I'm guessing it's Luke Farrell. I have to check my notes, but I'm sure Mr. Eppingstall is one of the interviewers here. And let's watch it. Let's watch it. You guys don't come here to hear me talk. You come here to get exclusive evidence from the trial. So, all right, here we go.
This is a DVD recorded interview between Detective Leading Senior Constable Stephen Eppingstall and Erin Patterson of 84 Gibson Street, Leongatha, conducted at the Wonthaggi Police Station on Saturday, the 5th of August 2023. Other person present is my corroborator,
Detective Senior Constable David Martin, LK 40053.
Right. Erin, do you agree the time is now 4:41 p.m. by my watch?
Yep.
All right. Could you please state your full name and address for me?
Erin Patterson, 84 Gibson Street, Leongatha.
All right. Erin, I intend to interview you today in relation to the death of two people, being Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson. Before continuing, I must inform you that you do not have to say or do anything, but anything you say or do is being recorded and may be used in evidence in court. Do you understand that information?
Yeah.
All right. I must also inform you of the following rights. You may communicate with or attempt to communicate with a friend or relative to tell that person of your whereabouts.
Okay.
You may communicate with or attempt to communicate with a legal practitioner. If you're not an Australian citizen or permanent resident here in Australia, you may communicate with or attempt to communicate with the consular office of the country on which you are a citizen.
Okay.
Do you understand all of these rights?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wish to exercise any of these rights before the interview proceeds?
No, sorry. No, I don't.
That's all right. Now, I'll just confirm with you that you've had an opportunity to speak to a solicitor
Yep.
before this interview commenced. Okay, and you're happy with that?
Yep.
All right. Now, I'll also remind you that your rights are with you for the entire time you're with us. Okay, so
All right.
if you decide later on you want to exercise any of those rights,
Yep.
you just let me know and we'll
Sure.
do that. All right. Now, what is your age and date of birth?
48, 30th of the 9th, 74.
And are you an Australian citizen?
Yeah.
Are you a permanent resident here in Australia?
I was born here and I live here and I'm a resident of Australia. Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And are you of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent?
No.
Okay. What's your mobile number, Erin?
0480 535 835.
And do you have an email address?
Yes, it's ESH.
Yep.
301430 @gmail.com.
All right. Now, as we discussed earlier, and we've been together for a few hours now. It was after 11:30 that we came to your house today. We want to discuss the deaths of Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson today with you. When we were at the house earlier, we discussed that you hadn't really been kept in the loop, and it come as news to you that Heather and Gail had both passed away. Following eating at your house, Donald, Ian, Gail and Heather all become so ill that they ultimately ended up in the intensive care unit at both the Dandenong Hospital and then moved to the Austin Hospital. Right. Following that, they had a deterioration in their condition, and that they become so ill that their livers have failed. Right. Donald underwent transplant last night. Okay, and his condition is still extremely critical as of last report. Heather and Gail passed away. In relation to Ian, I don't have a current prognosis in relation to where he's at. As of late yesterday, the diagnosis isn't great for him either. We're trying to understand what has made them so ill. You understand?
Yeah.
Why we're asking these questions.
Yeah.
Conversely, we're trying to understand why you're not that ill. So you understand why we're interviewing you today?
Yeah, I do. But I'm sure you understand too that I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as much as possible because I do want to know what happened.
Yeah.
So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from.
No, I fully understand that.
Yeah.
All right. At the house, and I must say, for the record again, you were very helpful at the house and you did point out a couple of things for us. that will help us with our investigation. Mainly the fruit platter that you said Heather bought for you, and the gravy in the fridge in the pantry that you said was from the night and you kept on an advice from the health department. So thank you for that. You also pointed out a recipe book on the counter, and you referred me to page 250 odd, a recipe for beef Wellington that you indicated was the recipe that you cooked. Okay. All right, on what we saw at your address in Leongatha. We didn't see a lot of food from Asian grocers or Indian grocers or those kind of stores.
To look in my fridge, I've got a lot of Asian cooking stuff in my fridge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we likely to find more of that kind of stuff in your Mount Waverley address, do you think? Or
No, because I did a big clean out of the pantry and fridge the last time that I was there, because I want to sell that place.
okay. All right.
So the pantry and fridge there will be empty.
Okay. So you want to sell that place? All right, no problem. Obviously, we've got concerns in relation to these mushrooms and where they've come from. Okay. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for the mushrooms or anything like that? Never.
No.
Right. Do you preserve foods or anything like that?
No.
Have you ever dehydrated food or anything like that? Okay. You've described to me a relationship with your ex-partner Simon. I'd like to understand why you had his parents and his uncle and auntie over for lunch on the 29th of July.
Because I've got no other family, so they're the only support I've got
Okay.
left, and they've always been really good to me.
Yeah.
And I want to maintain those relationships with them, in spite of what's happened with Simon.
Okay.
I love them a lot. They've always been really good to me, and they always said to me that they would support me with love and emotional support, even though Simon and I were separated. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because my parents are both gone.
Yeah.
My grandparents are all gone. They're the only family that I've got.
Yeah.
And they're the only grandparents that my children have. And I want them to stay in my kids' life.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. And I think Simon hated that I still had a relationship with his parents. But I love them. Nothing that's ever happened between us, nothing he's ever done to me will change the fact that they're good, decent people that have never done anything wrong by me ever.
So we've been told that on the 31st of July, so 2 days after the lunch, you went to the Leongatha hospital, okay, and that you were only there for about 5 minutes and then you left. Can you explain why you went there for 5 minutes?
Yeah, because I just went there thinking I needed a couple of bags of saline because I was really dehydrated. And they said, we want to admit you and send you to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And when you've got animals at home and children who have multiple after-school activities, you can't just be told to drop everything and you're off to Melbourne for overnight. So I had to go home and feed the animals and pack my daughter's ballet bag.
Yeah.
And I did that, and I went back.
Okay. Who did you speak to?
So I walked in, and there was like, I don't think they were a nurse. It was like, I don't know, it could have been an enrolled nurse, or it was like a helper person in the triage room, right? And she's just like, you okay? And I said, well, no, I have to run to the toilet. I've got diarrhea. And she wasn't quite sure where it was. And so she went and found out and showed me where it was. And then she said, I'll go and find someone. I'll get a nurse or a doctor for you. And so I went to the toilet. I came back out and I was waiting in the triage area. And then a doctor came out, Dr. Webster, and he said to me, sorry, that we're going to be a little while because we've got a couple of critical patients in the hospital. And I said, that's fine, don't worry about me, I'm just a gastro case. I'm not urgent, obviously. And he said, oh, what's your name? And I said, Erin. And he said, oh, we've been expecting you because other people that you ate with on Saturday were sick.
Yeah.
And he said, can you come through? And I said, sure. And I came in. And then he said to me, I can't say the exact words, but he said something along the lines of, we've got a concern they've eaten death cap mushrooms. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, that's what we think they've eaten.
Yep.
And then he started asking me about what food I served them, and I told him.
All right. I understand you went down to the hospital and got treatment and that.
Mm.
What kind of treatment did you get?
Oh, they hooked me up to a drip.
A drip?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They said that because we're concerned. So Dr. Webster had to leave. I think he was at the end of his shift, and he passed on to another doctor, Dr. Foot. And she said to me, because the concern is that everybody's eaten something that hurts your liver, we need to give you this protective medicine. And so there was saline and acetyl something or other. I don't know what it was. But she said, we need to give you this and then put you in an ambulance up to Melbourne where they can give you more, I don't know what the word is, more, where they can care for you better. Yeah. So I got saline and this other stuff. And went in an ambulance up.
Okay. How long were you in the hospital for in Melbourne?
Till Tuesday afternoon.
Okay, so Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. All right. And again, for full disclosure, so you understand, we've obtained warrants in relation to medical records for everyone involved in this, and so we will get medical records in relation to your treatment there as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Good.
You were at home and present when we did a search warrant today. All right. I know you weren't watching everyone at all the time, but I just want to go through on tape some of the stuff we've, and like I said, we'll give you a copy of this, everything we've seized. Kitchen, far left bottom drawer, instruction manual for a Sunbeam food lab, electronic dehydrator. What's that in relation to? Do you know anything about a dehydrator in your house? Or? Okay. Do you own a dehydrator?
No.
Okay.
I've got manuals of lots of stuff I've collected over the years. I've had all sorts of appliances and I just keep them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When did you own a dehydrator?
I don't know, I've had one years ago.
Okay. What did you use that for?
Like when I first got the Thermomix, I got really excited about like making everything from scratch, you know, and I did a lot of, you know, like everything from scratch ingredients, and I did a lot of that. So I could have had something like that.
Okay.
But,
Kitchen bench located against the wall. Recipe tin eats book. Okay, I'm not sure. Again,
that's that recipe book.
that's that same book that we, the Wellington recipe coming out of. Yeah. Right. From the fridge, we got the fruit salad platter, which you pointed out. Then in the fridge in the butler's pantry, we got the white jug containing the brown liquid, which you pointed out as well. So thank you for that. From the study, we took the computer, we took another computer, and we took another computer. Right. In the lounge, we grabbed an iPad in a black and red case. From Broome, we've grabbed a computer.
Oh, that would be an old one I had up in the top of his cupboard.
Okay, yeah.
That's
Yep.
a very old one.
All right. So that, if I had to prioritise, that would be the bottom of the list.
I have anyone's power bill from fairly.
Okay. All right. No dramas. All right. So we'll pop that one at the back of the list. All right. A black mobile phone, which again I'll prioritise tomorrow for you.
Thank you.
Upstairs bedroom 2, far left towards backyard. Says Erin's bedroom, so I assume that's yours. Apple iPad.
I don't own any iPads, so but they would be tablets, Android tablets.
Oh, okay. There's a Samsung tablet listed below that, located on top of the bed.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they've got it wrong, that it's not an iPad, it's some other tablet. Samsung tablet. An Oppo mobile phone, and your mobile phone. All right. So, yeah.
And so you said a black mobile phone earlier.
Yep.
So that would be a Nokia. It's a really old Nokia that I've got for, like, you know, if you break your phone.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got to send it away from repair, and you need. So I've got this like really old thing. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
Your mobile phone would be the top.
Yeah.
And then we're talking
And then
about
there's
his work school computer, followed by
the GeoForce one.
the GeoForce one.
Yeah.
David?
I just, one thing I wanted to clarify, to make sure I've got it right, obviously you've certainly taking notes. When you went to the Lancaster Hospital, you said you were in there, and you got shown to the toilet, but you said you had to go home to pack stuff, and your daughter's bag and that sort of thing to feed the animals. When you had the conversation with Dr. Webster, was that when you first went there or afterwards?
I don't remember.
That's all right. Yeah. Other thing that I should have mentioned that, I, again, to your credit, police went around your house on that morning.
Oh.
Yep. On the 31st.
Right.
Yep. And they were obviously responding to the hospital call to check up on you.
Yeah.
And they spoke to you on the phone. And you gave them the PIN code for your gate.
Correct.
And directed them to the bin where there were some leftovers.
Correct.
What are those leftovers that you directed them to?
So were the uneaten food from the lunch.
Okay. Right. So you helped them in getting that so it could be sampled.
Because my kids ate the meal too.
Yeah.
But there was stuff that was left over and it went straight in the bin. And so when I went to the hospital and they said they were concerned that everyone ate some contaminated food, I said, well, there's the leftovers in the bin, you can have it. Feel free to look through it.
Yep.
And I said, I'll go and get it if you want. And they said, well, that's fine, you need to go on a drip. We'll call the police. And I said, well, that's fine, just let them know I need to give them a PIN code.
Yep.
So they did that, and a bag of food appeared a bit later.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for helping us locate that.
it's fine.
All right. Anything else, Dave? All right. Any questions at the moment?
No.
All right. Erin, do you agree the time is now 5:30 p.m. by my watch?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to suspend the interview now.
There you go. Finally, after, I don't know, over a month after this court got a verdict, and many weeks since we saw it in the courtroom. So they played this to us in the court, and you finally get your this is probably the most extended look at Erin that you're ever going to get, especially after the sort of lunch. There's not much video out there of her. There's a little bit from the media here and there, but from the trial, the only four videos I have are the BP Caldermead the recycling center, we have this one, and then we have one more. So the one I showed you on Monday. So there's only 4, and there's only 2 of them where she speaks at all. This one is the longest. This one goes for like 20 minutes. It is quite, you know, it's an extended look at Erin trying to reply to this. You know, I don't know if you picked up on this, but very early on in this video, she gives out a mobile number that is incorrect. That is not her mobile number. And she lies to police all through it. She tells them she doesn't own a dehydrator. She's so adamant. She's like, no, oh no. And then they're like, well, why do you have the manual? And she's like, oh, just have manuals, just collect them like in my drawer. That's where I keep them. It's a very interesting interview to listen to, especially after what we know now. And you hear her describe some of these things. So we've read through this before. I've read through my notes when I took notes in court about this video. It's the first time you guys got to see the entirety of it. So hey, good to see you all. A lot of people in chat right now. Hey Heather, hey retired RN, Mr. Joe Neal is here. My buddy, the other Joe, is here. Hey buddy, hope Texas was good. Hope you got a lot of information about the floods. John is here. Rachel. Who else? Marilyn Landis. Mimi's here. Texas is here. Who else are we missing? My friend Woman of Steel is here too. Good to see you guys. Good to have you here on this Friday afternoon in Victoria, Australia. A lot of people here. I love it. Thanks for being here. This is your first look at it. Not quite a world premiere today. We did on Monday. It was Monday? Yeah, Monday we did actually have a world premiere of that evidence. No one else had released it at the time. I think I got beat by the Herald Sun today by like 20 minutes. So we got close. Jojo said she's not my type either. I don't know. Wendy said, what if someone had gotten and used the dehydrator she had got rid of? Well, I don't think they would have got poisoned. I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask a mycologist whether like small amounts would actually hurt someone just from the residue and vegetable debris that they did find. I'm not sure if it would have. Hey Pauline, good to have you. Hi from Kentucky. Great to have you here. I saw someone else new in the chat while we were watching that police interview. Where is the new person? Always like to say hi. Anya. Hey Anya. Good to see you. I have a cousin in Croatia who is called Anya. That's the only reason I know how to pronounce your name. if it was any other name, I wouldn't know how to pronounce it. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I think I saw someone else. One more person. You have someone else. If you're new to this channel, say hi in the chat. Say hi in the chat. It was Missy. Hey Missy, good to see you. Thanks for being here. If you're new in the chat, say hi. We're friendly people and we're nice people. We just want to get you all your Erin Patterson information as soon as possible. So there we go. For me, it's definitely, if you watch some of the nuances of this interview, it's the consistent lying. It doesn't make sense to me. Why would you lie about this dehydrator and then know that the police are probably going to find out that you went to the recycling center? It makes zero sense to Ping. Ping doesn't know why you would do that. I guess when you feel trapped in a corner, I guess that's what happens. You just start lying to try and cover up your alleged crimes. So extracted videos. Yeah, so this video, the police interview that you have here, it is directly after this video, the one we showed you on Monday. This is the search warrant on her property on the 5th of August, 2023. They complete the search warrant, then they go back to the police station, and then she is interviewed. So these are sort of like a chain event. I'm going to play this one quickly for people who haven't seen it. So this one takes place before the video you just watched, the police interview.
So it's 3:29 p.m. on the 5th of August 2023. Detective Sergeant Luke Farrell with Erin Patterson at 84 Gibson Street in Leongatha. Thanks for your patience today, Erin. We're completing our search. The only outstanding item is that mobile phone that you've got there. So I'll seize that now from you at 3:29 p.m. Can you just pass it to me? Do you need, we've got bank card. Can I just have a look at it before you take it out?
Of course.
Yeah.
This sort of puts out.
Yeah. Thank you.
We just get a pin code for that too.
Yes, so as I sort of pointed out earlier today, there's a provision in the warrant that requires you to assist us to get into these devices. Is there a PIN code on your phone?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
It's either 1315 or 131528. I can't remember which one.
131528. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check that.
There. Is it opening? Oh, okay. Well,
No, that one.
no one. So there you
Okay,
go. Your job's easy.
Yeah. All right.
So they took her phone at the end of the search warrant, which is a brand new phone. It's what we call phone B. And then she goes into the police interview and lies about her phone number. And yeah, someone brought up her email. I think her email, I'd have to double check if the email's incorrect or not. I do have her proper email, but I'd have to double check. It does sound a little odd, but Joe says, what a casual environment for an interview. This is her home. This is her home in Leongatha. And it looks like they are recording on a cell phone from 2009. But hey, police budgets and, they often have their budgets cut. So I'm not going to yell at them about that. But interesting they didn't have the little tape recorder, because sometimes they video and have a tape recorder. So you get really good audio and then they combine it with the video, but not in this particular case. Hey, Corinthian, how are you? My theory here is she is prepping so that if a phone is found, she has a pattern of memory loss / confusion and can refuse to open the code phone or give its code. Yeah, you're not the only one who brought this up. When we aired this footage on Monday, we had a few comments who were saying the same thing, that they believe that she was sort of feigning this sort of, oh, I don't know, it's 1857 or whatever she was saying, and pretending not to remember. The other theory that I heard is that maybe she did it so that if phone A was ever discovered, it couldn't be opened. That is a possible theory too. Thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. Let's see. Hey, Woman of Steel, good to see you, Joe. People never get rid of the phone. Well, like I showed you the other day, let me see if I can find it again. We've got a lot of freaking documents and evidence for this trial, so there's just a ton to go through. But let me try and go back. It's not that one. Let me show you. I can show you the how the phones work. It's should be exhibit. Oh, wait. Hold on, guys. It should be up here. Okay. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to find out which one it is. Here. So as you can see, The original phone number up here, the one ending in 783, and that was tied to all these mobile phones. You can see how often she changed the actual phone. Like she had an LG, she had an Oppo at one point, and then she had a Samsung Galaxy A70, then a Samsung Galaxy A52, and then a phone called Phone C was a Nokia. Then she went back to the Samsung Galaxy. Then she switched to Phone B, and then she switched to, which was an A23, then Phone A, which was a A23 as well. And then you go from February 2023, and then apparently her son used it at some point, Phone A. And then we drop down here, and that number from Phone A ended up back in Phone C. Should be Phone C, right? Yep, Phone C. So the phone number that they wanted ended back up in this phone here. So you can see that number and the many telephone numbers of what they call Phone A, stretches back to 2019. There was probably a lot of information, especially on Phone A. You can see she used it from 2023, if you want to take it from its last point, where this number was in this phone. That's a long time, right? So there was probably a lot of information that was on Phone A that they dates back years, dates back to when Simon Patterson says that he was poisoned by Erin. That's another thing I haven't told you yet. We can now talk to you about Simon Patterson and his allegations of poisoning from Erin. So we will go into that too. We are now no longer required to sort of like this. We can now talk about it. But yeah, you can see how far this dates back and how many phones she went through. Look at this. All these different phones. All these different telephones. An LG, an Oppo, like many Samsungs, a Nokia. I believe she said this Nokia was because her phone was damaged and she bought it as sort of like a substitute because she just needed a phone while it was damaged. And then you see it pops down here, and this is for a Samsung tablet, which was also used around the 5th of August. And it's just odd. Phone A 2023 is used in this phone since 2023, right? And her son uses it for a period of time. And it pops up back down here on the 5th of August, 2023. So after the lunch. But magically, police can't find that phone. And the phone that you see her hand over here is a completely different phone with a completely different number. Where did phone A go? I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. I'm not sure either of us, any of us. The only person might be Erin. So, yeah, that's right. It was one she bought in, because she seems to break phones all the time. Yeah, it was like a backup phone. Or B for burner phone. Okay, no, I'm just joking. Just joking. Don't take that. That never got mentioned at trial. Don't be quoting me on that. Marlene said she has family that she cares so much about, and they ate at her home for their last meal before getting sick. And she is worried about getting kids to their events and not the sick loved ones. The other thing, Mrs. Ping brought this up, and as you know, Mrs. Ping has been in the hospital. So has her mother, right? So we've dealt with a lot of hospitals recently. If your family, even by marriage, was in the hospital and people were keeping information from you, wouldn't you be mad? Wouldn't you be annoyed that people were not giving you updates about these people that you supposedly love? I would be. I'd be mad. I'd be like, why am I being left out? Why am I not getting updates? They're my family too. But you don't see this from Erin. They just tell her they just told her in this interview the first time she hears that people have passed away from a meal that she cooked, and she's just like, yeah, okay. And she just shakes her head a little bit. Like, this is a strange response from someone that supposedly loved these people so much, and just being told they died. Yeah, being also told that information was being kept from her, and she's just like, okay, people died, sure, all right. It's a very strange reaction. No reaction, yeah, it is. Alex Cox forgot that you shouldn't log into your Google account on your burner phone before you try to. Yeah, right. The Long Island serial killer, Rex Heuermann, alleged he walked into I think it's a Verizon or AT&T store in New York, and literally walked past the camera and bought credit for his phone. Like we said before, you don't have to be smart to be a criminal or a murderer. I think neither of these people have been. Tyron said, as Ping always says, you don't have to be smart to do crime. That's right, you don't have to be. We've had some experience in doing live shows, me and Joe. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Her effect is quite strange. Yeah, let's watch the bit where she gets told that there's people who have died. Let me go back here. Let's go back to where we're told, like she's told people have passed away.
3-0.
Following that, they had a in the loop, and we want to discuss the deaths of Heather Wilkinson and Gail Patterson today with you. When we were at the house earlier, we discussed that you hadn't really been kept in the loop, and it had come as news to you that Heather and Gail had both passed away. Following eating at your house, Donald, Ian, Gail, and Heather all become so ill that they ultimately ended up in the intensive care unit at both the Dandenong Hospital and then moved to the Austin Hospital. Right. Following that, they had a deterioration in their condition, and that they become so ill that their livers have failed. Right. Donald underwent transplant last night. Okay, and his condition is still extremely critical as of last report. Heather and Gail passed away. In relation to Ian, I don't have a current prognosis in relation to where he's at. As of late yesterday, the diagnosis isn't great for him either. We're trying to understand what has made them so ill.
Yeah.
Like they say, we're trying to understand why they're so ill and you're not. Texas Roadrunner, we can't magically make subtitles appear. It's not like magic. I can't do it. This is like a raw file from the trial. I mean, I could put it through an editing software and then do it, but to get this out so quickly to you, we did not. But unfortunately, you guys are just going to have to listen. For now, I'll upload a different version later tonight, and I'll run it through one of those softwares that automatically add different languages and subtitles and things like that. So if you don't catch it all right now, don't stress. I will make a version of that for people, because there's people that are hard of hearing and stuff like that. I mean, the Australian accent. I know the other day someone's like, I can't understand it because of the Australian accent. I don't think that was true. It was just muffled. Rachel said, we also say just get a divorce. That's right. We do on this channel. We say there's no reason to murder. Just get a divorce. There'll be more about that tomorrow. I have some more about Erin and Simon's relationship that I'll air tomorrow on tomorrow night's show. Yeah, this one's pretty good. This is not as muffled as the other one, the one in the home where they take her phone. That one is very muffled. It is a little hard to hear. Marilyn said, no emotion. Yeah, she's just told that, one, her house has been searched in relation to a crime, her phone's been taken, and now she's been transported back to a police station and told that two people have died. And her whole thing is to just sit there and, like, what is this? Like, it's just very meek. Like I described to you during the trial, just very meek, almost acting timid. There's no real emotion here at all. All right, guys, hold on. I'm going to play a bit more. I have to check something.
While we're asking these questions,
Yeah.
Conversely, we're trying to understand why you're not that ill. Right? So you understand why we're interviewing you today?
Yeah, I do. But I'm sure you understand too that like I've never been in a situation like this before, and I've been very, very helpful with the health department through the week because I wanted to help that side of things as
Yes.
much as possible
Yep.
because I do want to know what happened.
Yeah.
So I've given them as much information as they've asked for and offered up all the food and all the information about where the food came from.
I fully understand that.
Yeah.
All right. At the house, and I must say, for the record again, you were very helpful at the house, and you did point out a couple of things for us that will help us with our investigation. Mainly the fruit platter that you said Heather for you, and the gravy in the fridge in the pantry that you said was from the night, and you kept on advice from the health department. So thank you for that. You also pointed out a recipe book on the counter, and you referred me to page 250 odd, a recipe for beef Wellington that you indicated was the recipe that you cooked. Okay. All right. On what we saw at your address in Leongatha. We didn't see a lot of food from Asian grocers or Indian grocers or those kind of stores.
To look in my fridge, I've got a lot of Asian cooking
Okay.
stuff in my fridge.
All right. Are we likely to find more of that kind of stuff in your Mount Waverley address, do you think? Or
No, because I did a big clean out of the pantry and fridge the last time that I was there because I want to sell that place.
okay. All right.
Yeah, like the detective says, that's Detective Eppingstall, who was the informant. You would have heard from him at the trial. They're sort of asking her, where is where is all this Asian food that you supposedly always cook with and so fascinated by? We searched your homes and found nothing. That was a big deal to me during the trial when they said that in this interview. I was like, that's a good point for this woman who seems to want to cook all the time and use these mushrooms. Yeah, no response. Just like, oh, I'm selling that home, and my other home. Weird that you didn't find any. Paul Son's mom says, thank you, Ping, for clearing muffled type voices. I'm struggling with it too. Maybe headphones make it easier. I think this one's not too bad. Hold on.
So the pantry and fridge there.
This one's not too bad. I can say something though. I think Victoria Police have a technology department. They definitely need an external sound card for their PC or whatever they're recording on, because in the background you can hear the computer doing things, and that is sound from interference on the audio, and it's normally from a computer or some sort of electronics. They need something to isolate their recording device, because that little beeps and sort of hissing that is normally from some sort of computer. The noise is so annoying. I know. You can hardly hear her. It's weird that you guys have such quiet audio. My audio, I use a software to boost it for you. It's strange that you guys can't hear it. I will throw it through a software later tonight, and I'll boost everything up and try and run it through a filter to take any like you can run it through a denoise filter. I'll try to do that and try run it through a denoise thing so it sounds clearer. Missy says it sounds like an old dot matrix printer running in the background. It might be. I don't know what the police have. Gayla said, I can, but I have buds in. Erin is a bit. She is mumbling a little bit, right? She is. For someone who, um, yeah, it's a bit odd. I read a thing today from one of her friends, one of these online friends that she has in the Facebook group, and they were saying that she acts very, like this, very sort of like, I don't know, I'm not sure what's going on. But they were saying that she is extremely clever and always on top of everything. And the fact that she's all like, "Oh, I don't know what my number is," and "Oh, this and that," and "Oh, the pin code might be this." They're saying that is not who she is at all. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. I have to go for a minute. Hold. All good, guys. All good. Sorry, I got an urgent email from someone, and I had to make sure I checked it. I was like, "Oh my god, are we doing something incorrect?" No, it's all fine. Just some added information. Anna, hey, good to see you. Coming in halfway through. I'll wait till you're finished and start from the beginning. Hey, Anna, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Would be a good time to tell you all, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, that's how it helps creators like me continue to bring you evidence like this. This court trial on its own was 11 weeks of me sitting in the court every day for 7 hours or 8 hours a day, plus travel for 11 weeks, plus all the evidence, all the documents, all this and all that I've brought to the channel. Um, the one thing you can do to help me out is hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and if you're really being in a generous Friday mood, there are links in the chat and under the video where you can send a donation in to help with the cost of doing all this. But we don't normally talk about that here. We try to just give you evidence. But it is a good point to bring that up right now. Joe says, trying to peek into the mind of these killers is so fascinating. Erin Patterson, Brian Koberger, Laurie Daybell, what is going on inside their heads? Do they think they can get away with it? I don't know. It's I want to know what you would be thinking to actually put a poison into the food. To me, that's like, that they're going to get so ill. That they're going to be possibly die, and you're okay doing that. You watch them eat the food, you do all that, and that's okay with you. I find that bizarre and fascinating, and it hurts my mind. Hold. Sorry. Mrs. Ping just came home. You want to say hi? There you go. I had to let her in, so she just got back here. She went out to have her first sort of meal outside of home since getting out of hospital. So she went to go see her mum, and so her mum also just had surgery. So they went off to, I don't know, have lunch and get a coffee and catch up. So first meal outside of the home for her. Pauline said, the new prison help, Erin serves food. No, I think there is a statement from the prison that said that Erin is not serving food to anyone and she does not work in the kitchen. That was some sort of misunderstanding or bad information. But the head of the prison, I don't know who the head of the prison is, but whoever that is came out and said that that was not true and that Erin would never be allowed to work in the kitchen. So there you go. Everyone says hi to you. I don't know if they could hear that.
Thank you for saying hi.
She said, thank you for saying hi. Oh, and now there's a cat. Hey, cat. What do you got? It's a bit of a disruptive afternoon. Hey. The Muffin's here. Texas Roadrunner said, I think I'm going to go work in the library. Okay. The Texas State Library, maybe. Good to see you all. Hey, Muff. Muff, do you want to get down? No, you want to sleep on Dad's lap. Okay. What's up? Hey. He's right here. You can see his little ears. Hey. I don't know why he's here. Hey, buddy. All right. Four Sons' mom says, I bet that was very cathartic for both of them. I think so. I think so. They said it was cathartic for you and your mum to go out and eat.
Yeah, it was good to.
Good to see your mum.
Yeah, she's all right. She's coughing a lot.
Yeah, her mum's coughing a lot. So her mum just had cancer surgery to remove 10% of her lung.
Yeah, but it wasn't due to smoking, like they said.
Did they find out what it was from?
Hormonal.
Oh, hormonal cancer.
Rare cancer.
Really? Of course.
1% person as well.
Yeah, just like her daughter, the 1%, right?
Yes.
All right. Just like Mrs. Ping, the 1% of everything. Wendy R says, do you suppose Erin worries someone could taint her food? That'd be like projection, right? Almost like revenge. Because it's like, I'm a poisoner. Now I'm worried everyone else is poisoning me. Sort of like when people cheat on their partner and then they accuse everyone else of being a cheater because they're projecting. So Erin said she was going to work in the library. Doesn't surprise me. For a woman who likes books and likes learning, that's not a surprise at all. Muff, there's no room for you. Why don't you go sleep with Mom? I know he loves me, but sometimes he loves me too much. Texas Roadrunner said, yeah, okay. Gaylor said Muffin is the star of the show. Only when he's on camera. He's lying very low, so you can't see him. Gaylor says she has to have a rare one, not your common one. That's right. Retired said, we really tune in to see Muffin. Yeah, I know. He's hiding though. She probably does. I know. Good point. Oh, I heard them before. They've put that giant thing out the front. Yeah. Joe said, I'll only work in the library if I can be the hush bouncer. Yeah, you could be doing that. You could be walking around hushing people all day. That'd be a fun job. All right. So I'm very interested to hear what everyone else thinks of Erin's police interview. Everyone worked very hard to get this out and get this to you. I really want to hear, especially in the comments after the show, what your point of view is about Erin in this this interview with her. You know, where's that bit? She talks about having to go and see the children. If this was your child, say that you were in this situation, and let's play the imaginary game. Say it really was an accident. When you're at the hospital and they tell you You have to go get your children because you and your children may have eaten death cap mushrooms. Wouldn't your first thing be, oh my God, I'm going to call my ex-husband. I'm going to make him go get the children from school. Or whoever, whatever family member you can find. I'm going to stay here in case I die and bring my children here to try and get treatment. Instead, Erin's like, I want to leave so I can feed my animals and so my children can go to their after school activities. I find that odd. I'm sure you all do too. Rachel said it seemed very clear that she's lying. Oh, the evasiveness is off the charts. Mimi said, I wonder what the behavior panel would say on her behavior and body language. I'd love to be on that show for an Erin Patterson episode. If the people on the behavior panel want to invite me on, I'd come on and do that show with them because I've been watching Erin and her body language for like 2 years. And I think I might have been the first one to pick up on the crying thing in her interview outside of her home. I think I was the first person to broadcast that and talk about it. So Gayla said, you would think she was sedated the way she has no reaction on a lot of Prozac or, Xanax or something. Jonas says, exactly. Rachel said, I would want my kids brought straight to the hospital to be checked out. I would figure that's like the automatic reaction, right? My kids are ill. They might have eaten something bad that I cooked, and like I want to get them help. I don't want them to be like, hey, they have to go to like after school activities. I wouldn't want them at after school activities. I'd want them to get help. Four Sons' mom said she would be hard to do because she has no body language mostly. She is very sort of sedated. Rachel said Gayla, yeah, she's very monotone. But that's interesting to me. I can tell you that during the trial, this is not the Erin we saw. When she was being cross-examined by the prosecution, this is not the Erin Patterson we saw. We saw a much more lively, boisterous, very sort of assertive, not this kind of meek, mellow, sedated person. Completely different person. Very sort of like pushing back on a lot of the things the prosecution had said. Rewording questions, picking up the prosecution when they said something wrong. Very, very sort of different to the lady you see in this video. She does seem disconnected. Marlene said maybe she is resigned to that this is not going to go well for her. Maybe. Missy said she gave them leftovers to eat. Of course, she should have brought them back straight away. But as we all know, Erin does the exact opposite of what any normal person would do. It seems to be her modus operandi, doesn't it? Do the opposite of what everyone else would do in life. Let me see. The other day, people were asking me about Erin's bank account statement and asking if I had it. And I said, no, I don't have it. But I actually do have it. The evidence folder is quite large, and I forgot that we do actually have that evidence. So I'm going to just show it here for the people who want to see it. Where is it? It's not that one. Let me find it. Where is it? Hold on, guys. I'm just trying to find this bit of evidence for you. Is it that one? It's not that one. It's not that one. Yeah, okay. It's this one. Bank. All right, here we go. I do have that evidence for people who really, really must see it. And this is Erin Trudy Patterson. And this is from the 1st of July 23 to the 4th of August 23. And what does it show us? Well, here's that Outback Jack's donut on the 30th. So the day after the lunch was on the 29th. This is the day after. This is when they go on that drive out to the son's. He has an activity that he does, and they went for a drive out there, and they stopped at Outback Jack's Donut to get some food. And then there's the trip to Caldermead here, and there's the BP Caldermead receipt where she buys those items. And here is the other one on the 4th of August from Dasma Environmental Morwell. And what is Dasma? So Dasma is the recycling center. That is the recycling center where she drops off the dehydrator. So this is the bank receipt for her paying to drop off the dehydrator. So there you go. For the people who really, really wanted this evidence, well, I found it for you in my files. So there you go. It has the proof that she went to the recycling center. There you go. There's the BP in Caldermead, and there's the Outback Jack's Donut in Kuriup. Is that how you pronounce that town? I hope so. There you go, Bendigo Bank. So we can show it all to you. We have everything. Jojo said, I was in bed until you said donut. Now I'm eating cookies. It's always me that goes back to food, right? Every night. Gayla said, I still don't understand why you would pay to bin something. Yeah, it is a little odd. Just for like a dehydrator, you're like, I'm going to go pay money to get rid of that at a recycling center. It's a bit odd. Most people wouldn't do that. But as the other person said, Erin does things that other people don't do. So, yeah, it's good to see you. Hey, Cheetah No More. Glad to have you here. I appreciate it. It's good to have you in the chat again. All right. Give me 1 second. We're going to change topics. Actually, I'm going to let you guys watch the interview a little bit more. I'm going to get Simon Patterson's poisoning information up and running. So you guys watch this for like 2 minutes while I get that done, and then we'll continue.
I fully understand that.
Yeah.
All right. At the house, and I must say, for the record again, you were very helpful at the house, and you did point out a couple of things for us that will help us with our investigation. Mainly the fruit platter that you said Heather bought for you, and the gravy in the fridge in the pantry that you said was from the night, and you kept on advice from the health department. So thank you for that. You also pointed out a recipe book on the counter, and you referred me to page 250 odd, a recipe for beef Wellington that you indicated was the recipe that you cooked. Okay. All right, on what we saw at your address in Leongatha. We didn't see a lot of food from Asian grocers or Indian grocers or those kind of stores.
To look in my fridge, I've got a lot of Asian cooking stuff in my fridge.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we likely to find more of that kind of stuff in your Mount Waverley address, do you think? Or
No, because I did a big clean out of the pantry and fridge the last time that I was there, because I want to sell that place.
okay. All right.
So the pantry and fridge there will be empty.
Okay. So you want to sell that place? All right, no problem. Obviously, we've got concerns in relation to these mushrooms and where they've come from. Okay. Is that something you've done in the past, foraging for the mushrooms?
All right, we're back. Okay. So I want to talk to you about Simon Patterson. Now that we can talk about his poisoning events that happened to him. So I read through and got some of the information about Simon and what those allegations were about. and they're frightening. The things that happened to poor Simon are, I mean, he must have been wondering what was going on and why he was acting like this. In one part, he talks about he was so ill that he couldn't make it to the bathroom on time. And they also were talking about how his levels in his body were skyrocketing, which is very similar to some of the medical evidence we heard at this trial. One of the main things we heard about was creatinine. I mean, we learned at the trial, what does creatinine do? Well, they search for it because it could indicate things with your kidneys. It could be like kidney failure or something like that. And he went through such like a hellish time. I'm going to read a little bit here. They're saying Simon Patterson believed that Erin had repeatedly, not once, repeatedly tried to kill him with poisonous meals in the years and months before the lunch that we all went to trial for. And they're saying here that detectives from the homicide squad were convinced of it too, eventually charging Erin with 4 counts of attempted murder, for Simon. And they're saying here that during this trial, the jury was never told about these allegations, even though they were sort of public knowledge before the trial started. If you had been following the case, maybe you weren't, maybe you were, you may have heard about this before the trial actually began. But we were unable to talk about it once the pre-trial sort of got underway. We were unable to be able to talk about these allegations anymore because it was now part of sub judice contempt of court. We weren't, we could be charged if we did. And they're saying here the jury of 12 did so without ever knowing the full details against the 50-year-old mum, who is expected to be sentenced. So we're expecting sentencing from sometime around August 25 this month. They're saying here, originally, before we went to this trial, I had been told and found out that the trial was originally going to be one trial. So we were going to go to one trial and have the charges 3 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder. One count of attempted murder for Ian Wilkinson, and then 4 charges for Simon Patterson. One of those charges was for the lunch on July 29th, 2023. The other 3 charges of attempted murder were going to be for past events of poisoning that Simon thought that Erin had done to him. But later on, it was successfully argued in court that the trial should be split. So the charges were going to be held in 2 different trials. The one we were going to go to this year was the one that we did go to and we got a verdict on. So it was going to be 3 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder for Ian. But none of those charges were going to be for Simon. Simon's set of charges were going to be done in a different trial. When we got closer to the trial, they dropped those charges. That was from the DPP. They decided that it wasn't, worth going ahead with, and they didn't want to risk this trial, the one we went to and got a verdict for, and they ended up dropping those set of charges. So now finally I can actually tell you the sort of what happened. When the trial was underway and we all found out this information, everyone was like, oh my God, what's going on? Why was the public told on the eve of the trial that we're not going to contest all of these charges? Well, now I can tell you that after a long sort of legal battle late in 2024, the trial was sort of split in a way. They were going to, like I said, they were going to hold one set of charges for the lunch and then another set of charges for Simon Patterson. But the charges for Simon ended up being scrapped. So we just got these set of charges. So now you all know. Now everyone should, be caught up of what happened. And yeah, so let's continue. They said Justice Christopher Beale, that's the judge that did Erin's trial, ruled the attempted murder allegations could not be run in the same trial as the charges related to the deadly lunch. And they're saying here, Justice Beale agreed with Patterson's defense that the attempted murder allegations needed to be separated from the murder allegations in the interest of ensuring a fair trial. Prosecutors ended up taking the ruling all the way to the Supreme Court of Appeal, which ended up agreeing with Justice Beale's decision, which was to separate those charges. And they're saying here the prosecution was going to set the stage to tell a jury Simon's illnesses before the lunch had been no coincidence and were actually a pattern of offending. And you can imagine the sort of inferences they were probably going to make if they ran these together as all in one set. So, and they say here, just weeks before the murder trial began, the director of public prosecutions for Victoria, his name is Brendan Kissane, he is a KC, made the hard call to abandon the prosecution, dumping all charges against Patterson related to the attempted murder of her husband, which was, very sad. So I want to show you something from Simon, if you haven't seen it, then I'm going to add something to it. So this is a post from Simon Patterson, and it says, some of you will know that I've had serious medical problems since late May. I collapsed at home, then was in an induced coma for 16 days, which I had 3 emergency operations, mainly on my small intestine, plus an additional planned operation. My family were asked to come and say goodbye to me twice, as I was not expected to live. I was in intensive care for 21 days, after which I was in the general ward for a week. He says, now I'm at a rehab place since last Saturday, and that was the 29th of June 2022, about 13 months before the lunch that we all know about. He says, I'm pleased to say all the medical workers seem to have fixed the serious gut problems I've had, and I've been feeling great for many days, no pain, and it all seems to be no impact on my personality, character, or anything else much. I have a big scar on my tummy, which is healing itself slowly, and I have ICU acquired weakness, which is a common condition of people who lie in ICU for a long time, as I did. He says, I can walk and do all the normal daily functions myself. However, my left shoulder in particular is very weak. I've been working hard at physio to build muscle strength. He says, both arms still need some work. And he says, so I can get back to basketball, hopefully in 2023. He says, I'm expected to make a full recovery, so I'm back to the same capacity I had before I collapsed. And he says, anyhow, that's a long-winded background to say I was absolutely blown away this morning to receive this amazing care package from the Puwong Basketball Association. It was a huge surprise, and it was full of fantastic goodies. And he just says thank you to the people who organized it. So you hear of all these things that he went through. 21 days in intensive care. That's a long time. I mean, she was in intensive care for like a night. What was it, like a night a few times? Yeah, she was in ICU like just for one night a few times, and he was in there for 21 days in ICU. Yeah. He had a part of his intestine removed, which, if you've ever dealt with people who have had intestines removed, it affects your life. One of the things you can't do once that happens is people who have this type of surgery sometimes have they have malabsorption of certain things like iron, can be other type of things like salts, can be proteins, can end up getting things like dairy. You can't drink dairy, intolerance. all different things. It depends what part they take. It depends what bit they operate on. It depends all sorts of things. And it depends what surgery. So I don't know what surgery Simon had. I don't know. I'm just saying from my own personal experience with people who have had stomach issues and gut problems and intestine issues. It's really bad. It can really mess with your life. So, hey, Sugar Cat, how are you? Did you notice Erin's reaction when she was told that two of her beloved ones passed away? Yeah, it was. She basically just went, "Oh, okay," and she just like shook her head. Like it was very like subdued is the word I would use. Rachel said it sounds like he was very sick and Erin did this to him, I'm sure. Yep, the allegations are that she was poisoning his food. Here, Simon maintained that Patterson attempted to kill him with a poisonous meal of penne bolognese, chicken korma, beef stew, and a curry wrap, and some cookies he suspected were laced with antifreeze in the years before the fateful lunch. And they're saying here he ended up being gagged by the judge's ruling, and according to the notes here, Simon engaged Justice Beale in the witness box when he left the courtroom for a break during the first week of the trial, and he said, "The legal process has been very difficult, as a witness especially. That is why I say it to you without the jury here, especially the way it's progressed in terms of charges relating to me and my evidence about that, or now non-evidence. I guess I have a lot to grieve, and am grieving a lot about all of this stuff. I'm sure you can imagine." He says, all the hearings that have led up to this, all the discussions about the way we got to this point, where I'm sitting here, half thinking about things I'm not allowed to talk about. And he says, I understand. I don't actually understand why. It seems bizarre to me, but it is what it is. He also requested some of the transcripts for the trial, and he said here, as I grieve the legal process to help me deal with that, it will take me years. He said he had been unable to keep track of the trial and asked that he be provided transcripts to catch up with what had happened when he wasn't at the trial. So, yeah, he definitely struggled at the trial when we listened to him without the jury present. He spoke about his emotional response to some of the questions he was asked, and um, that he he would get questions and he would have to answer them in a certain way, and that was frustrating for him. And I can imagine, you know, you get down this road of a long waiting period, all this pre-trial, then you finally make it to the actual trial after the prosecution have dropped the charges against you. It must feel like you're somewhat is justice for your family, but nothing for you. Nothing that you like. He went through ICU for 21 days. That's a long time. And he must, I don't know Simon, and I don't want to speak on his behalf, but it must be hard to, you know, see those charges go away, especially when you've gone through all this ICU and having to build muscle again, trying to become a human again, trying to be normal. It must be difficult. Missy said if he had suspicions, why didn't he tell someone like the police or his doctor? Hold on. Let me check something. I just want to see a bit of information. Give me 1 second. Okay. I believe he did tell someone. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say right now. I have to double check something. But I believe he did make it known to certain people. Here. Police later suggested that that Simon was likely poisoning. Police later suggested that Erin was likely poisoning her husband Simon with rat poison, and could have searched at some stage for the word hemlock, a highly poisonous flowering plant, on one of her devices. Simon said, I can remember telling someone in the hospital that I remember being asked by a medical person what I'd eaten. So I told them I had the penne pasta, but also told them that my children ate the same pasta, so it was unlikely to be the cause of his illness. He says during his time in hospital, Erin had been kind and supportive to him. I mean, odd, 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 odd. Yeah. I want to move down to another bit of evidence. Hold on. So he talks about feeling sick, right? So he talks about eating this curry sauce that Erin had made for him, and it was a chicken korma with rice. And they were camping at the time. And he says he believed that both he and Erin had eaten the same meal that night. And he says it was about midnight when things took a turn for the worse. And he describes it like this: at first, I felt hot, especially in my head, and that led to feeling nauseous, and that led me quite suddenly needing to vomit. And then after vomiting, I started to have diarrhea. After vomiting all night, the decision was made to return home, but they never made it. Instead, Simon ended up in a hospital in Mansfield where he was again hooked up to IVs, provided some medication for nausea. And they saying here again, no diagnosis at the time for his illness was apparent. They say over the following days, Patterson nursed Simon. Erin did, nursed him to recovery. They say on one occasion she was forced to call 000 after Simon was unable to get out of bed. And he says here, next thing I recall is being on a trolley in hospital and Erin trying to attract the attention of medical staff and that person brushing me off. They're saying here, Patterson was asked for permission to operate on Simon as his next of kin. Doctors had advised that Simon would die if they did not operate on him. So she had to give permission for them to operate on her husband. Possibly the person who poisoned him is now the person who has to make a decision to save his life and give, permission to the hospital to do the surgery. It's twisted. It really is. If this is really what happened and Erin did this to Simon, she is really scary, a scary individual. They're saying here it was a life saving operation that saw a large proportion of his bowel removed. And when it was completed, tests again found no cause for his illness. So they ended up removing a large section of his bowel to save his life. And I, you could understand his frustration then at the trial process, where he now no longer has charges to represent his pain and what happened to him. He does for his mum and dad and his auntie and uncle, but not for himself. He had a large portion of his bowel removed. That's not an easy operation. That's a very hard operation, and the after effects can be quite debilitating for some people. So Gayla said, "Imagine if she said, nah, I know, right? But wouldn't you be charged if you said no? You'd have to come up with some really good reason." Sugar Cat said she is nodding as she is pleased they died. So no witnesses, thinking, okay, who is next? You might be right, Sugar Cat. You might be right. Dominic said she probably did the same thing she did with her family and just put the poison in his food. Well, that's what it sounds like. Like I said, I read out the 4 different meals that he ate over a period of time, and each time he ate them, he had, uh, you know, exacerbated levels of illness each time to the point where he ended up in that hospital and they had to remove a portion of his bowel. Missy said, but didn't Simon say he was suspicious of the biscuits that she baked? And by that stage, he was thinking more seriously about the fact that she may have poisoned him. Yes. I also heard, so some people asked me the other day, why do you think Simon never sort of told his parents, hey, don't go to Erin's, don't eat her food, don't go to this lunch? Well, according to what I've read in the court stuff, is he didn't think that Erin would hurt his parents because she did like them. So he thought the main target was him, since he had been sick, since he had been in hospital, since he had been the one that had been targeted with the meals, that she wouldn't do it to his parents, but she did. So that's why he never warned them, like, don't go eating her lunch, don't go to this lunch. You know, it's very, very sad. So after he got out of hospital, yeah, Simon spent weeks in a rehab facility, and apparently Erin had been fussing over him during that time. She cleaned his house, organized a gardener, had his car repaired and serviced, a tire fixed, and the bills paid. She then asked him to move into her new home in Leongatha, where she had set up a room for him. And they said Simon spent a month there before becoming unwell yet again after being served a meal by Patterson. He said it was special or unusual activity. She had specially made some stew for me to have, and I appreciated that. Like before, illness had got him in the dead of the night, and he was taken to Leongatha Hospital. He had more infusions, drugs, and no answers as to what was causing him to constantly be ill. When he was released that time from hospital, he spent another 2 weeks with living with Erin at her home, but Erin had grown tired of him being there. He said in court that Erin began giving him the cold shoulder, and he said, it seemed obvious to me that she didn't want me to be there. She told me that she was very upset with me, that I spent a lot of time in bed, didn't help around the home like she wanted, or get the kids ready for school. She thought she'd had concerns when I was recovering because I asked her to bring me a charging cable and stuff. She felt concerned I was being a bit dictatorial. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And that she was frustrated with me and what I was doing. That when I'd get up, I'd make my own food and then return back to the bed. And he apparently said to her, I'm sorry to hear you feel that. It was very clear to me it wasn't wise for me to keep staying at the home, so I decided to leave. And he says, despite the rising tension between the couple, Simon claimed he continued to push ahead with their relationship. Now, after this, during a picnic, Patterson served up a curry and vegetable wrap. Simon claimed he observed Patterson eat some of the same food, but not in a wrap. After walking on the beach, Simon felt that similar familiar pain in his guts. He said, my instinct said, very subtle, something was not quite right here. According to Simon, they headed home, arriving at his parents' house, where he ran for a bed and a bucket. He said, what happened next is a blur. He was taken by ambulance to Monash Medical Center, where he claimed to have lost all muscle function. He said, by the end, I could only move my neck, tongue, and lips. Could you imagine that? You can only move your like basically your face. That's what it is. I could only move my neck, tongue, and lips. He was like basically paralyzed. Paralyzed. It's insane. Marjorie said James Craig fussed over his wife while he was in the process of poisoning her, and she was in and out of hospital, two sick minds. It's almost like they enjoy watching the person suffer and they want to see their handiwork. So that's why they watch them. That's why they want them to stay with them. That's why they want them to you know, be, petted over, because they want to witness what's going on and they want to keep a close eye on them. Let me see. Hey, thank you to that person. I just saw something flash. What is this? Hey, Four Sons Mom. I really appreciate your hard work and dedication to this case. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. Thank you for being one of the great people who send in donations to the channel, allowing me to actually dedicate this much time to the trial, the case, the evidence, bringing it to you. Four Sons Mum, that is very kind of you. Thank you for the nice message. I appreciate it. Kaliza said, wow, it's pretty strange that the hospital staff never considered poisoning. I know, it is very strange. So they asked him in court about medical decisions, and they said that they were asking him whether Erin had been his medical decision maker, and he says it was his understanding that because she was my wife, that was her role by default. And they asked him about was this the same during the time when you had illnesses that you thought Erin had caused you? And he said yes, that she would be the one that would make decisions. He said that was correct. And they asked him if any of those decisions were inappropriate. Like, did she make any strange decisions that went against his health? And he said no, he doesn't believe so in a medical sense. Maybe outside of the hospital, but you know, maybe yeah. So they asked, were there any decisions made about your treatment that were designed to cause you any harm? And he said no, and that he would agree that none of those decisions were aimed at causing him any harm. And they say here, upon being discharged from that hospital when he could only feel his neck, tongue, and lips, upon discharge, he ended up moving in with his parents and was referred to a specialist. The court heard that the specialist was a friend or mate of Simon's, whom he confided to about his concerns that Patterson was trying to kill him. He says to the court, I told him in late 2022 I feared Erin was trying to poison me. He acknowledged it, but offered no opinion to me. It was around this time that Simon decided to start a spreadsheet that could help him note common elements of his various illnesses. By February 21st, 2023, just months before the deadly lunch, Simon took steps to ensure his father would make all medical decisions on his behalf if incapable of making them himself. He told his father, Don, he was suspicious of Erin and feared she'd been trying to kill him. He said very emotionally, he said his father told him to keep that opinion just between them. He felt it could create issues in the way people related with Erin and our family. The court heard Simon had expressed immediate concern upon receiving the invite that would be his parents' last meal. He confided in his GP and later spoke to his parents to discuss why they had all been invited. He said he declined because I thought there would be a risk that she would poison me if I attended. Simon had also said that his mother, that he had told his mother he wouldn't be attending, and he told her about his suspicions. He said, because of all the things that had happened in the recent past with Erin, and he says, I don't think it would be wise to attend the lunch. And he says here, his dad helped him move the conversation past that question. Simon said his daughter had also inquired as to why he planned to ditch the lunch invite, and he told his daughter, I can't tell you why. So everyone sort of wondered why he wasn't going, but, he had a very strong feeling that maybe he'd get poisoned once again. Mitzi said he should have had his food tested by a lab, especially those biscuits that he was most suspicious of. It would be difficult to test food that is given to you at a different location unless you somehow had a Snaplock bag and took a portion of it without them looking and then got it to a lab. I feel very sorry for Simon. I can't imagine what that would be like to have to think in your head, this person that while not being together all the time, like you're estranged but then together, and reconciliation and then not, but to think about this person who cared for you when you were sick and then have to get your head around it, that maybe she's actually trying to kill you. I think you would think you're in some sort of true crime novel, that you're like, this can't be real. This happens to other people, not me. I'm just Simon. I'm not someone special. Why would my wife be trying to kill me? It would be a real it would mess with your head. It really would. And I wonder if that is part of the reason. Also, he seemed to get very little positive reinforcement when he told other people about his suspicions about Erin poisoning him. Like you hear it, like people just brushed it off. Even his dad was like, "Don't tell anyone about this." He may have even doubted himself. And you could imagine if his dad wasn't being supportive about it, was telling him like, keep this a secret, maybe he had second thoughts. Maybe he's like, maybe I'm just making this all up. Maybe this is not real. I could imagine that'd be very hard to have to deal with. Dragon said, it seems that Don Patterson chose keeping up appearances over confronting Erin. Sounds like it. Or just didn't want to. Maybe he didn't want rumors getting around the church, or like they had this giant flock that they would go to with their uncle Ian. Um, Maybe they didn't want like rumor and gossip getting around the church. That could be a consideration too. Woman of Steel said, good dad, he didn't dump it all down on his daughter. Yeah. Hey, Sugar, how are you? Cheated and Moore said, this is like the Corey Richards case. Oh my God. Erin Patterson and Corey Richards are not that far apart in offending. The only difference is Erin Patterson killed 3 people and almost a 4th and a 5th. Corey Richards only killed her husband. So, but not that different, not that different. Both warped people. I mean, Corey Richards is warped. She wrote a freaking book after killing her husband. She's crackers. Like she is absolutely crackers in the head. What are we saying here? Here. They talk about the cookies. So everyone wants to talk about the cookies, right? So during pre-trial, Simon had his GP at the trial, not by his command, but by the court's command. His GP is called Dr. Chris Ford, and he had claimed Simon had confided in him about his concerns. Patterson was trying to kill him, and they say here Simon told Ford his wife had been eager to know if she'd eaten any of the cookies. He felt this was odd that she was so focused to ask about the cookies. That is a bit odd. Simon later went on to suggest Patterson may have tried to kill him using antifreeze. Dr. Ford said, I recall him saying he had looked into antifreeze as a possible option on the cookies. And they're saying here, a day after the lunch, Dr. Ford received a call from worried doctors at Leongatha Hospital. When he arrived at the hospital, Don Patterson handed him a container. He had a jar of vomit with him, which he'd kept because he presumed this could be significant evidence because he thought it could be a deliberate poisoning. Dr. Ford said, I can't recall the exact words. He held this jar of vomit and said, I've got this sample. What do you think I should do with it? And the doctor said, I told him to hold on to it because it could be useful later. The doctor told the court he could not think of a reason why Simon had become so ill previously. To me, there was no medical reason, no other reasons that a fit person, you know, he said the only feasible reason would be poisoning. Simon had shared his concerns about Erin with his brother, Matthew, and they're saying, while Matthew did attend the trial, we saw him at the trial, because those charges were dropped, unfortunately, it was never brought up at the trial. And yeah. Matthew said at pre-trial that he said, I recall him mentioning it when we were out one evening at a concert. He shared that he had some concerns that he would probably need to be a little bit careful about interacting with Erin. And then here, so when Simon's parents were sick and they were almost at the end of their life in the Austin hospital, Simon had organized a family meeting, and Matthew said Simon wanted us to share with the family his concerns about the poisoning, and he just said he observed the meeting but didn't have much to add. And Apparently, family members all received a copy of Simon's medical records via an email from Simon the following day. That's very sad. Here. So Simon's sister, Anna, told the court at pre-trial that she too knew of Simon's concerns about Erin before her parents were invited to the lunch. She told the court Simon believed that he was the only target, and she told the court only Simon was at risk, and she said that she took it seriously. She also told the court she expressed her concerns to her parents about the lunch invite. She said, I felt anxious about them going because of Simon's warning. So at least one person was very concerned about their parents eating her food. I mean, I could understand, right? All right. So they asked Simon in the pre-trial if he had discussed the poisoning with anyone else prior prior to that conversation with his doctor. And he says, I think I joked with Erin before our trip that she might put something in the food and poison me. This is what he told the pretrial. I think I joked with Erin before our trip that she might put something in the food and poison me. That's a interesting, like, he must have been so nervous, and the fact that he would joke about this with the person he thinks has been trying to poison him is is crazy. I mean, yeah. Hold on, I'm just trying to find a different piece of information. So he talks about Dr. Ford, and he says, here. Da, da, da. Sorry, just trying to get to the one I want. So they say here he had a conversation with Tim Patterson about his suspicions, and he says that's right, and they said, was that a turning point in your thinking? He says yes. Well, actually, that conversation was a turning point in my thinking. Was telling him about my suspicions, and they asked him when that occurred. He says in September. Um, and they said, was that the first time that the thought of this suspicion had occurred to you? So Erin poisoning him, and he says no. They said, had you considered it prior to that conversation with Mr. Patterson, Tim Patterson? And he says, yes. How long before? And Simon says, I think it had briefly crossed my mind in the first half of that year. So several times after speaking to his doctor, after speaking to Tim Patterson, uh, he had expressed it to many people, his dad. He even joked with Erin about it. So this is a guy that these illnesses and poisonings, what he believes are poisonings, are always on his mind, constantly. It. I don't think any of us would trade places with Simon, right? I can't imagine to have to think that and be like, okay, I've been telling people, people are kind of sympathetic, but no one's really offering me any solutions here. And then you sort of doubt yourself, and then you try and ask someone else. No wonder he made this spreadsheet. So they talk about in this pre-trial, this spreadsheet that he made. And what he did was he would note everything down. If he felt sick, he would note it down, what he ate, when that happened, what the symptoms were. And he was trying to find a common denominator in his illness. So he was very clever. It's very clever to do that. But I think he just came down to the fact he thought it was Erin. Bolson's mum said, in hindsight, it's quite sad he didn't insist his family not attend her luncheon. Erin was very clever in her offending, because a month or so before the lunch where they died, she had invited them to her home for a separate meal. I think it was a meal of cottage pie or shepherd's pie, and Don and Gail had both gone to that lunch and were fine. So they had this false sense of security that if they went to this lunch on the 29th of July, 2023, that they would be fine, that there'd be no problem. Um, yeah, so I think that's why they went, because they're like, hey, we just ate with her like a month ago. Nothing happened to us. We're fine. Yeah, let me go back up here. I just want to find something in my notes. So yeah, apparently 21st of February 2023 is when he signed a form removing Erin as his medical decision maker. So only not very long before that lunch in July of 2023. And it was his father who was going to be his ultimate decision maker, and the second one was his brother. So he'd removed it completely from Erin at all. That she would, if he fell ill, deathly ill again in hospital, it would not be Erin who would be his sort of like next of kin decision maker. It would be his dad and his brother. I'm just trying to find something about this spreadsheet. Hold on. So it was actually his doctor, Dr. Ford, who suggested to him after several different consultations that Simon had had with him, that he start the spreadsheet. And the doctor had suggested it as a way of trying to find a common denominator between the meals, what he was eating, and how these illnesses were popping up. So it was actually his doctor's idea, and Simon actually went through with it and started making this spreadsheet. So yeah. And they asked him at some stage, did you raise this with your doctor, Dr. Ford, that you might think that Erin was poisoning you? And they asked him, when was this? When did you raise that? And the answer was yes, he did raise it with his doctor. They asked him, when was it? And he said he thought it was in around 2020, and he had raised this suspicion of being poisoned. So it was like we're talking about like years. We're talking about like at least a few years where Simon every so often gets deathly ill, um, and he can't figure out why, including having a surgery where part of his bowel is removed and he's in ICU for 21 days. It you know, I his his head must have been absolutely spinning. I I I don't know what that would feel like, but it must have been very frightening for him. Yeah, so when they talk about that illness when he was sick, and he said that all he could move was his neck, tongue, and lips, and he said he presumes his eyelids as well. And he said that he was eventually given some anesthetic and went to sleep when he went to Monash. And apparently he was also slurring his words and had lost muscle function. They said, how long did these symptoms last for? And he said, I had these symptoms when I was put to sleep at the hospital, and I didn't have them when I woke up. It's like, slurring your words, loss of muscle function, being able to only move, what was it, your neck, tongue, lips, and eyelids. It's basically like paralyzed, like frozen. All right. All right. I have to switch to a different set of notes. Give me 1 second. Sorry, someone messaged me asking if we can play the video again. I don't know if anyone wants to watch it for a third time. If you want to watch it, we can go back to the start of the video. Someone messaged me saying they missed the start of the show and didn't get to see Erin's police interview. I don't know if everyone wants to go through it again because it's like 20 minutes. I don't know. I'll let the chat decide. If the chat wants to watch it one more time, I'll do it. But if everyone's sort of like, nah, we've already seen it, then you'll have to go back to the start of the video. Sorry. Marilyn said she should be charged with poisoning Simon. I'm sad by that. I wonder if Simon ever feels like justice has been done for him. I'm guessing maybe no. Maybe for his family, maybe for his mom and dad, but maybe not for him. That must be a difficult thing to have to reconcile in your thoughts. All right. So Simon talks about the symptoms, right? Before he got sick this one time with the eyelids and the neck and the lips. And he talks about walking on the beach. And he says he did start to feel a little bit unwell. And he says, slowly, I was going to say, but over a period. And he says, we came back from the beach. And he says, I think towards the end of that, walk back towards the car. I felt like I really needed to go to the toilet. And I was starting to feel nauseous, like diarrhea was coming. And then he said, so he went to the toilet. And he said, but while he was walking on the beach, he didn't feel any symptoms. It was only when he came back. And they said, and he says he doesn't even remember telling Erin that he wasn't feeling well. He says he doesn't remember saying anything in particular. Yeah, he says he doesn't really remember. And he said after he went to the toilet, he says he talked with Erin about feeling sick and what to do about it. And he says, I was feeling increasingly sick. I think we had a conversation about who should drive. And he says he's not sure who drove or whether a changeover on the journey back or not. But he says Erin did a lot of driving in the end of that. And they said, with the symptoms on the drive home, were you required to pull over a lot because you were sick and having those diarrhea and symptoms? And he says yes. And they say, at any point did Erin ask if you wanted to go to a hospital? He says he can't remember. So apparently they drove him back to his parents' house. When he got back to his parents' house, Simon says, I got out of the car and his child was there and his mum and dad were there. And he says, I said, I'd like a bed and a bucket, please. He says he was feeling weak and even may have leaned on his child to go into the room where the bed and bucket were. He says he laid down and there was a lot of vomit and dry retching. And they called an ambulance for him due to his symptoms and what he was displaying. He says that he can't even remember his parents calling the ambulance to come and get him from his parents' home at all. He says, I know I could get up out of the bed, like I was strong enough to get up, but probably only just and get on the trolley myself. He says it's not like I had to be rolled across onto it, but he says he doesn't actually remember which point I got on the trolley. He says, but pretty soon in the ambulance journey, I realized that I was starting to slur my words, and then gradually as the journey went on, I lost more and more muscle function, and by the end of the journey, all I could do was move my neck, my tongue, and lips. That was like, must be frightening, like absolutely frightening, to lose all function of all your muscles, to be, let's be kind about it, but to be uncontrollably like pooping and dry retching and stuff. and then lose all your functions. It's insane. It really is. Poor guy. Hey Marco, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. High five. What's up, Marco? Did you just get off work? Did you just finish work for the Friday? Do you have a beer? I reckon Marco's got a beer. Put one in the chat, Marco, if you're having a beer on this Friday afternoon. I'm I was gonna say, he says, yeah, see, there you go. Good work. Good to see you, Marco. Good to have you back. Marco said, Marco says, why do you think her interview is so chopped up? Feels like it has been edited. I understand personal it is for that reason. There was some personal stuff in there. That's all. I think that's the majority of it. I'm not sure anything else, but I would say it's personal things that, you know, that the public doesn't need to know. It's got nothing to do with the case, I would say. Could be something like that, yeah. You just eat a lot, no drinking. All right, fine. Danny says 2 + 2 = 4 and no one notices. You know, in true crime, we often talk about red flags, right? We talk about red flags about crimes and why no one ever notices. And we're like, there must have been some red flags. Well, there was hundreds of red flags here. Hundreds. And that no one sort of fully clicked on. It wasn't until people died that everyone put the puzzle pieces together and knew it was Erin. But it had been going on for years beforehand. It's very very strange. Gayla said, yes, I thought it skipped when she was first told they were dead. I think it did. Cheetah Moore said, my God, reminds me of Susan Morphew may have gone through, becoming paralyzed by that BAM stuff. You are at the mercy of whomever. I want to know what is so fast acting that he can eat his lunch, go for a walk on the beach, and by the time he comes back, he's already starting to become incapacitated. It's crazy. Maybe eye drops or potassium, arsenic. I think they said that one of them might have been hemlock. I don't know what hemlock does to you, but it doesn't sound good. Oh my God, there's a cat here again. Hey, what are you doing up here? Hey. Oh, he doesn't want to. I think he knows the camera's there because he never puts his head up. He just wants to lie down. All right, you want to lie on Dad? Yeah. What are you doing? All right, can I have the mouse back? This is not a mouse you can eat. This is a mouse to control a computer. Hey? There he is. Here he is. There he is. Tiny cat. What are you doing? Yeah, Dad's lap is not a good place to sleep. I don't know why you're so obsessed with sleeping on Dad. Can you see this?
Yeah.
He's sleeping.
Just like that. What's that guy from the show?
Oh,
The
what's-
guy and he always pets his cats and goes, where's that from?
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, he's like,
Guy and he's always got the
next time, Gadget, next time. I think that's it.
Does he have the cat?
Yeah, he has a cat on his desk, and he always slams his fist, and then the cat goes meow, and he runs away. Yeah, next time, Gadget, next time. Chino Moore says, "Ping, I thought you were telling us not to eat the mouse." Anna says, Simon's parents were too nice and forgiving, even after hearing Simon's concerns. Their lives could have been spared if they were more cautious. Maybe, but their lives could have also been spared if Erin just didn't poison them. You know, you got to look at how this actually occurred, and it was because Erin poisoned people. So, I mean, it's pretty bad. Jake says it looked like parsley on food. He wouldn't have even known. I bet she was using hemlock. Hold on. I don't think I know anything about hemlock. What does it do? Let's have a look. So that's hemlock the plant. Yeah. What are you doing? That's hemlock the plant, and it's a herbaceous plant. It has a biennial life cycle. Okay. What about poisoning? Does it have a section here about Erin Patterson? Let's see. Toxicity. The hollow stems of the plant remain deadly for up to 3 years after the plant has died. Oh my god. Hemlock contains quinine and some poisonous alkaloids and is poisonous to all mammals and many other organisms that ingest it. Intoxication has been reported in cattle, pigs, sheep, goats, donkeys, rabbits, and horses. Ingesting more than 150 to 300 milligrams of it, approximately equivalent to six only 6 to 8 hemlock leaves, can be fatal for adults. Wow. The seeds and roots are more toxic than the leaves. Farmers also need to ensure that the hay they feed to their animals does not contain hemlock. Hemlock is the most poisonous in the spring when the concentrations are at its peak. Geez, toxicology. Shortly after ingestion, the alkaloids induce a neuromuscular dysfunction. What is that again? Neuro neuromuscular dysfunction. Oh, that sounds familiar. That sounds very familiar. Neuromuscular dysfunction. Interesting, because Simon reported losing all muscle function. All muscle function. Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. Here, narcotic-like effects can be observed as soon as 30 minutes after ingestion of green leaves of the plant, with the victims falling asleep and gradually becoming unconscious until death occurs a few hours later. The onset of symptoms is similar to that caused by curare, an alkaloid, with an ascending muscular paralysis leading to paralysis of the respiratory muscles and ultimately death by oxygen deprivation. Oh, that does sound like hemlock. Crazy. So she may have not only been foraging for death cap mushrooms, she may have been foraging for hemlock. It does match his symptoms, right? At least on that occasion. At least on that particular one at the beach. It definitely matches. Like he says, I lost more and more muscle function, and by the end of the journey, all I could move was my neck, my tongue, and my lips. That is crazy. I wonder when he was at Monash for this one, did they put him on a ventilator? Because it says it affects the respiratory muscles. I wonder if they had to put him on a ventilator. It doesn't say in my notes. I don't have it. Crazy. Poor Simon. So you kind of see just how severe what the illnesses that Simon went through. Like they are brutal. I mean, he had part of his bowel removed. He was paralyzed. He was poisoned. He threw up. Apparently, like he lost control of his bowel several times. Like he must have thought like he was literally dying several times. His symptoms were so severe. Retired Ren said that would be terrifying. I would think he was on a ventilator. I would have to think so. Rachel said it does match his symptoms. Sadly, the doctor didn't know to test for it. Yeah. Jonna said she had a lot of different poisons she was trying to use. Yeah. It does sound like she was experimenting with different things, definitely. Because his symptoms like change throughout the whole thing. Some of them are like just throwing up and diarrhea. Some of them are just throwing up. Some of them are paralysis. Some of them affect his bowel. It's crazy. Like he's been poisoned by like 20 different things. Jonna said, I wonder if her kids ever got ill. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she wouldn't hurt her children. I think they were like the only thing she actually gave a crap about. Kaliza said, I had no idea Simon had been through so much. In the articles I've read, they kind of gloss over his previous sicknesses. Well, there you go. You got the in-depth one from Ping tonight. And we'll have more tomorrow. I have more on what happened to Simon, but I need a few more hours to sort of like pass through it and sort of write my notes and things like that. There's a lot here that I have to go through. So yeah. Hey Miss Shorty, hey, good to see you. Hey, I see you on Twitter sometimes. Good to see you. Dominic said it's like she was looking up poisons to see how they worked on him. Definitely. Marilyn Lander said, so the jury didn't know any of this. The jury heard none of this information. Anything related to Simon was not told at the trial. Any of these illnesses, not what Simon went through, not any of these screenshots like this one here, none of it. None of it was presented to the jury. The only evidence that was presented is the evidence I have shown you, and that relates to the lunch on the 29th of July, 2023. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. That is all. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to play it again. I want a darker picture because when you put it on the white background, it just blares in your face. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Dominic said, I've seen some true crime podcasters give him a hard time because of not giving her more child support too. Look, I've never been under the impression that Simon is the most I don't think he's an angel by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't think he deserved what happened to him. If he was thinking he was being poisoned, why would he help Erin do anything? Why would he do anything in her favor? And I mean, I get it. It affected the children maybe, but these people are not people who are worried over getting their child support payment. These people are got money. It's not like Erin's like, if I don't get my $350 a month, I'm going to be homeless and not be able to feed the children. She's got money. She paid for a freaking expensive lawyer for the court. Like, this is not a woman who's struggling and living in housing commission. She's got enough money. Like, what he did, what was it wrong? Maybe. I don't know enough about their child support to do it, but yeah. Kaliza said, James Craig's wife Angela suffered so much with each type of poison he tried out on her. They caught him on video putting stuff in the smoothie he prepared in the kitchen for her. I think I read that or saw that at some point. Dominic said she had plenty of money. Also, child support works it out. Yeah, that's probably why he was giving so little, is because they both had so many assets and money and things like that, that there was probably not a lot that had to be given over. Cheatham also said very vicious and sick in the head. Yeah. She also had more than one house. Yeah, they had multiple properties. They were lending money out to other people. Kaliza said Simon and his family really seemed to benefit a lot financially from Erin, and they didn't seem bothered about paying her back too much. Well, I don't think that's true. A couple of the people she lent the money to have already paid back the loans. I think if I remember correctly from trial, only one family hadn't paid it back by the time this all happened. I think two of them had paid back the $400,000 loan that Erin had given them for the property. So I think it was only one that hadn't. Rachel said, wasn't that what child support ordered him to pay? It was. Yep. Jonna said she's vindictive and and self-worth was zero plus mental health, obviously. She admitted in her own testimony that she had zero self-esteem and zero self-worth. So you're right. Simon was working. Yeah, he was. I don't know if he was working all the time or whether he left a job at some point. I know there was one point he left a position he had. I can't remember when that was, though. I will look it up tonight for you. Yeah, I believe so too. All right. It's 5 o'clock. All right, buddy, calm down. I know you want to sit like that. I know. We're gonna have to buy a bigger chair. My cat is upset because I'm not sharing the seat with him. He wants me to move over so that he can sit in this corner. He likes sitting right here, don't you? Huh? Hey, what you doing? Hey, don't bite. He bit me. Hey, don't bite. What are you biting for? Is it because I'm not sharing the seat? Hey, is it because I'm not sharing the seat with you? You're like, Dad, share the seat with me. Yeah, he's mad because I'm not sharing the seat with him. He's like, Dad, hey, stop biting. He keeps biting me. Muffin, stop biting. He gets a bit bitey. Rachel said, Miss Shorty, go back and watch Erin's interrogation. Yeah, the interrogation of Erin's right at the start of the show goes for about 20 minutes. Your cat Hades bites too. Yeah, so does Muffin. Retired said, not that I'm excusing him, but I imagine Simon's health was affected negatively. Right. This is a man who had his bowel removed. And you're all like, people are like, why didn't he work harder to give, more child support or whatever? I mean, I'll tell you that this sentiment around that when I spoke to people at the trial, there was a very split opinion about Simon. Some people were like, oh, he's a good guy that's been through a lot. And then there was this other segment of people that thought, oh, he's a bad dad and things like that. So there was a very split opinion. Jonna said he says enough is enough. Time to give attention to us, maybe. Danny says your cat is like my Moira. Rose, border collie. She's a queen of the house. That's funny. If you ever watch there's a show on Hallmark movies and mysteries called like the Cupcake Murders or something like that. Mrs. Ping, what's that show called on?
Murder She Baked.
Oh, Murder She Baked. And she has a cat called Moira. So your dog is the same name as the cat on Murder She Baked. Gail said he does the love me bite. Yeah, Muffin does the biting and then he'll like kick you with his back legs. We call it kangaroo kicking. So he acts like a kangaroo and he'll like kick you like with both legs. Dominique says, I mean, he was being poisoned by his ex. I think he was basically an abused ex. I'm 100% of the opinion that Erin Patterson was abusing Simon, not just from the poisoning, but from her like emotional, everything. That everything that she said that Simon was doing to her, she was doing to him. I'm 100% of the opinion after listening to all the evidence, all the pre-trial, everything, that 100% that Erin was abusing Simon, not just for the poisoning, but also emotionally, physically, financially, with the children, poisoning the children's thinking against dad. Like she was telling the children things like, your daddy hurts mummy and stuff, and your daddy doesn't do anything for mum. Like she was poisoning her children's thinking against her father. So, it's against her husband. So she was definitely coaching her children of like, daddy's a bad boy. He doesn't help mum, and daddy hurts mummy by not doing what mummy wants. Like, stuff like that. Danny says Moira comes from Schitt's Creek. She's black and white. Oh, that's a cute dog. Dominique says that's horrible. I agree. Rachel said, thank you, Ping, for seeing Simon was a victim of abuse. So many think it doesn't happen to men. I am without a doubt convinced that he was. That doesn't mean that he didn't do things wrong either. That's not how abuse works. It doesn't mean that just because one person is being abused doesn't mean they don't do things wrong in the relationship too. It just means from the evidence that I've seen, I fully believe that Erin was going around telling people, oh, I'm an abused woman and Simon's coercive control live. But I believe she was doing that to him. Well, you look at the evidence with the whole pressurizing Simon with his parents in those messages, like saying, your son's a bad guy and he's not helping his children, and I'm going to do whatever I want and put all these messages in here. That's a form of emotional abuse. That's a form of abuse. And the way she's doing it is by trying to isolate Simon against his parents. And the way she does that is by trying to get those parents to turn on Simon, so then he's isolated, and they're not on his side. It didn't work, but she tried to do it. So, yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Miss Shorty said, with people like Erin, every accusation is a confession. That's a good saying. It's a good saying. Cheeto Moore said that alienation stuff is real bad, terrible to use the children. It was in the evidence that you know, the kids would say that type of thing, like, that dad is hurting mom and all this type of stuff. It's really horrible. I hope Simon's relationship with his children gets better over the preceding, not preceding, following years. I hope he's able to have a great relationship with his kids. Rachel said, "I hope Simon finds a special woman to make him happy. He deserves that." I do too, and I don't know. I hope that it. I'm more concerned about his children. I hope that they can have a normal life. That's what I'm worried about. Where they live in Victoria is a very small town. And I'm sure the community loves them. I'm sure the community out there are lovely people. But I just hope people can give them their privacy as they grow up, and don't ask them about their mum. Pretend like their mum doesn't exist, and just treat them like teenagers and whatever. Just treat them like normal people. I hope so. I hope everyone does. Leave them alone. They are innocent victims in all of this, and they don't deserve to be harassed, made fun of, contacted, talked to if they don't want to talk to you, all these type of things. They deserve a shot at at living their lives properly. No way they love her now, or I don't know. It's funny you say that, but when you look at the Daybell children, when you look at Chad Daybell's children, they are still they are still supportive of their dad. So sometimes it takes time. It takes time to, see what happened. Uh, yeah, that's the right email. Yeah. I agree, and I hope they are given that, and I really do hope that with with their names kept out of the trial, with a lot of the details about them kept out of the media, that I hope that'll be possible. I hope it'll be possible that they can go on to do whatever they want to do, go to university, or whatever they want to do, get a trade, work somewhere, all these type of things. In 10 to 15 years, when they're a little older, people won't remember. I mean, only if you know true crime or court cases. So it's just these first few, 5 years, people will remember who their mum is. But eventually, memories fade, and unless you actually directly know who they are or what they look like, then you would never know who they are. So I'm I'm pretty positive they'll be okay. I hope so anyway. Yeah. No, yeah, the kids. So I hope the community treats the kids well, but I think they will. It's a nice community out there, and I think they are good people. So, hey, Andra, how are you? I hope the children will change their mind about their father and see what really happened. Hopefully, hopefully. Hold on. Sorry, I had a mental blank. Even though I've got a cousin that's called Anya, I just pronounced it wrong. I was just not thinking. I just saw the letters and I was like, I'll just say it phonetically. Yeah, I said the J, but it's Anya. Yeah, the A is a Y. So you're a J. What?
The J is a Y, not the A is a Y.
Okay. All right. J is a Y. Dominique says, yeah, Angela, they may not like her when they understand what she did and they know what she did to her dad. Even the grandparents, like, you heard during the trial that the kids had a very close relationship with their grandparents and, had a very loving relationship with their grandparents. So we'll see. I don't want to talk about them too much. All right. Tomorrow, what are we going to do tomorrow? We've got so much more to go through. It's now that we're allowed to talk about certain things now. There's so much more to go through, unfortunately. So if you are hoping for other topics in true crime, I have some bad news for you because we've got to sort of get this done. So tomorrow night, it'll be covering the rest of what I've got. And I'm going to have to spend the rest of the night writing notes for tomorrow. So I love you all. I hope that was worth the wait to see Erin Patterson's police interview. I'm glad we finally got it. And yeah, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of that video. You guys have been waiting for months to see it after I told you about it at the trial. Now you've seen the entire 20 minutes. Leave a comment. Give me your impressions and ideas. I want to hear about it. Thanks, Anya. Dominique says, I'll have to go back and watch it. Yeah, go back and watch the interview. I will put out a copy of the interview that has subtitles and things like that in a few hours, okay? Anya, not Anya. Angela says, thank you, Ping. Enjoy your evening. I will. Marco, video was also made by week. Thanks, buddy. Have a good weekend, Marco. Miss Shorty said, glad I managed to catch the tail end of the live. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Rachel, for inviting your friend. Danny says, great interview. Thank you, Ping. Thank you. I'm going to get out of here. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you to Four Sons Mum for donating to the channel. It really does help these trials. You got to think about it. I was away from home for like 11 weeks of the trial, covering in the court every day, 7-8 hours a day, come home, make a podcast, get up again, do it all over again. And it took 11 weeks of my life, basically. And then we're doing all this post-trial stuff. So those donations really do help. And just because we're not currently like in trial every day doesn't mean we don't need the support. So I appreciate it very, very much. If you're one of these people who are unable to do that, that's fine. We don't really ask people to donate like, every second of the show. Or I hate YouTubers who do that. It's disgusting. But you could subscribe to the channel. That would really, really help out. YouTube's all about that silly little number under the channel name being really big. So if you can help achieve that and make that a bigger number, that would mean a lot. I would appreciate it. And if you're already a subscriber, hit that thumbs up. And, the more thumbs up we get, the more sort of, attention the video gets around YouTube. So I would appreciate it. I love you all. Have a great night. Glad to bring you some breaking news for the second time this week. We brought you like world premieres. Peace out, everyone. You want the best information about Erin Patterson and the most in-depth coverage? It's only here at Nights with Ping. There is no one else. Good night, everyone. Bye.